Black and blue, I crawl alone. The wreckage of what now is gone. Back to you to fight another day. I'll go on and on and on and on. I'll face it, the demons I created. With every last part of me, the pain will fade, and I'll go on and on and on and on. Black and blue, I crawl to you. Black and blue, I crawl to you.
YRC fans, today is just another thing. Well, tomorrow's the Great American Bash, which is my birthday, and today is just gonna be my final SmackDown.
Happy birthday.
Coincident, yeah, tomorrow, yeah, and it's also Nick's final SmackDown. So
Well,
we're not gonna see me in any
possibly
future SmackDowns because apparently I weigh down the group, and I can't control my own ego. So now that we got that sad dish out of the way, let's talk about our topic. Disney animated canon. Now, the Disney animated movies are some of the most historic movies ever made. So I've got the list of them. The first movie ever that fits the quote-unquote Disney movie canon is The Little Mermaid. November 17th, 1989. A month before The Simpsons aired.
The penis.
Okay, so we gotta talk about what The Little Mermaid is. If you're living under a rock, it's about this mermaid named Ariel. Great, now I got a list. Okay.
I'm gonna pull my Little Mermaid facts.
Yes, so I'm also going to be looking. Okay, Little Mermaid.
So apparently it was adapted loosely from a Danish fairy tale of the same name.
Yeah, Danishes, they're so delicious. Oh, right, the country, Dutch. Oh, Dutchland.
Yeah, Denmark, the country that Skipper hates so much.
Denmark. I can't go back to Denmark. I can't set foot in Denmark.
Why not?
Because it's private. Or then there was that Dylan Hans, but no, we're not talking about penguins. We're talking about the little Ariel. Oh yes, Ariel, the first quote unquote Disney girl princess thing. If you want to get, if you want to get technical, Snow White kind of fits that bill. But if you want to talk about modern, the beginning of Disney Renaissance, Ariel's your girl. Now, yeah, and then you got a little girl. It's about a mermaid who wants to be a princess so she could date some guy. But she has to prevent. What's the word? She has to give her voice to some villain named Ursula. And then you have. I have to be honest. I don't know much about The Little Mermaid. It's just the fact that it was the first of the many Disney films that were modern. What a way to go out. So do you want to skip to the next thing?
Not yet. I want to talk about the origins. Like we already said, it was a Danish tale, but the Danish tale was actually darker than the Disney adaptation. Not only did she agree to give up her voice to the sea witch, she also puts a curse on her. Basically, every step basically when she drank the potion, she feels like a sword was passed through her body. And while she'll be able to dance like no human danced before, she has the constant sensation of walking on sharp knives. And if she doesn't marry the prince, she turns into sea foam. And here's the thing, she ends up not marrying the prince because the prince was in love with someone else that she thought saved him from the water or whatever. And then his sisters, and then some people try to tempt her to turn back into a mermaid by giving her a dagger and saying if she kills the prince, she can turn back into a mermaid. But she doesn't do that. Instead, she throws the knife out and disintegrates in the sea foam. But instead of ceasing to exist, she pretty much becomes an earthbound spirit, and it ends with her doing good deeds to mankind for 300 years, and one day she will go to heaven.
Okay, that's great. It's a nice message. It's just so that's kind of The Little Mermaid. It's the first Disney film that's actually technically from Disney Studios. And to be on, but if you're looking at it, it's actually the 28th film. It's just every other Disney film was so scattered and lost in the thing, like Dumbo and the dwarfs and Pinocchio. They were all, and Bambi. But I don't know if we should backtrack while we're still ahead. So let's just talk. I'm just going to talk about what's next on the list. The Rescuers Down Under. I don't know what this is.
Neither do I.
So do you want to skim over it? Or do you want to just skip
I
it?
don't know if Dsim has anything to weigh in. Because remember, Dsim wanted to weigh in for a couple of these. I don't know if The Rescuers is one of them.
Yeah, okay. So honestly, The Rescuers Down Under, I'm just looking at it quickly. It's a 1990 film. It was the 29th film. It
I
was
didn't really watch that one.
okay. So apparently, yeah, like apparently this used to be like some sort of show or something. But honestly, I don't really want to talk about The Rescuers Down Under. I'm gonna feel 6 feet under. Okay,
Here we go.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna miss doing
All right.
that.
As I have to say,
This is going to be the Sad Sloth show, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the sad sloth.
it's gonna be the last one though.
Yeah, it's the last one. Then Tony can have his show back, and you guys will all be free to do whatever you want, as I'm not going to be involved.
Texas just having his final hurrah.
Fucking get your own show. There's nothing wrong. Like with the way you do SmackDown, you're perfect for doing your own show.
You are actually. You can literally carry a show on by yourself.
No, give me some. Don't worry, having Fridays free means I can have some time to fix my personal life.
Exactly, and then once I can even help you out with the other show. It can be me, it can be you, and then I can chime into like little stuff.
Okay, backtrack. Now, next film. Beauty and the Beast.
That is a film I like.
Oh yes.
I like that one.
There were multiple adaptations of Beauty and the Beast over the years, the Disney one just being one of the most prominent of them.
The only one I've watched is the one, I've only watched the original on VHS. So, that's all I have to say about that one.
No. Yeah, Belle of the Ball. This had a lot of memorable characters. You had Belle, you had the Gaston, there were so many memes about Gaston, it's kind of ridiculous. Then there was
When I was a lad, I ate 4 dozen eggs every morning to help me get large.
and then there was I also remember all the talking plates and stuff. And this is something I learned in hospitality school, where they showed a video at the beginning of the semester about the song "Be Our Guest." Oh God, "Be Our Guest," yeah, God.
Is it like
Pikachu,
it's so fucking long.
take a walk,
It's so
take a nap, listen to the pokey rap. Sneasel, easel, weasel, freezel, freeze you solid. It's a trap.
Okay,
Yeah, I
so
guess it's so fucking long since I watched the show.
now it just
Let's see here.
yeah, there's just so much to talk about with the Beauty and the Beast, because it was like one of the first not original princess films.
It's like I vaguely remember this. Like I don't know if she gets locked up by him or I don't know, but then they end up. I feel like it's a Stockholm syndrome kind of scenario.
Yeah, but
You know
honestly,
what I mean?
whether it be Stockholm syndrome, this thing was very successful. It got
It was.
331. It got 331 million at the box office on a budget of
I
25
mean, it
million.
wasn't really Stockholm syndrome.
I gotta say it is. From what I've watched and from what
Like,
others have said,
it's like for it to be Stockholm syndrome, he would have to be kidnapping her and torturing her against her will, and she would have to identify with him. But
then she
like,
has some sort of
from what
special
I've heard, he's
attack.
been nothing but kind to her, like freaking offering her food, a place to live, magical music stuff happening.
Indeed, just God. Okay, no.
It's like she's the one that kept turning him down because he was fugly.
I would have more to say about that movie, but it's been since like what 2005 or 4 since I've seen that movie, so I really don't have much to say about it. But I did like it when I was little.
Yeah, a lot of people like. I don't. That's you don't remember much. Just
Exactly.
The only thing I didn't
those
like was in the only thing I didn't like was when then the Descendants came out. They did a cover of "Be Our Guest," and it sounded douchey and pop music-y, and I hated it.
not to mention.
Well, that's not the original. I don't think that's the original movie though.
Yeah, not to mention the live action remake.
Yeah, I don't pay attention to it.
I never saw the live action remake.
I only like the classic, the
Disgusting.
original release.
Now, next up, let's talk about. Okay, just a little. Just gotta pain the nail in even further. Never had a friend like me. Okay,
I gotta watch the movie.
Aladdin.
Oh God.
Like, the genie was voiced by the you can talk about the movie in general. I'll talk about the genie after.
Funny, wait, we're talking about Aladdin now?
Yes, we're talking about
Yeah.
Aladdin.
Okay, my mother's favorite Disney film is actually Aladdin. I'd have to ask her about this, but I'm in the bathroom right now, washing my hands.
Also, this was a very interesting film because it had it was so good because so many good things to say about it. Like, Aladdin's fun, a fun guy. Then you have a Buddha monkey. And you have Jasmine, which is actually such an influential. I have a stuffed animal of her that I use for a character in my show, but that named Janine. But that's not important. Then you have one of the best characters ever created.
In my opinion, I can say the best design of any of those
Iago?
has to be Jasmine.
Yeah,
That's
the parrot. The parrot. Gilbert Godfrey parrot is the best parrot ever.
Yeah, I think that's why Cyberchase casted him to play Digit later on, but that's another topic.
And that's also why they cast
Anyway.
him to play Krang Subprime. Yeah. Oh boy.
Cool movie. I've seen a play of it, so I kind of remember it. But I've seen the movie yet again way long ago when I had mashed potatoes for breakfast.
Yeah, so the thing about this movie, it's very renowned for its success because, and apparently it was so successful that it also got a live action remake, which we don't talk
Which I
about.
did not see.
We don't talk about the live action remake in these here parts.
Oh God, I can't get the picture of Will Smith out of my head.
Okay, so you gotta stop watching.
Anyway.
But
Right.
Robin, this was Robin.
Anyway,
yeah.
Yeah. Like the story is what you expect it to be. Boy finds a lamp, gets 3 wishes, and has to go on adventures. Eventually defeating the mighty Jafar.
Okay.
Anyway, the thing that makes it really interesting, anyway, apart from it being the movie that it is, one of the most interesting things about it was Robin Williams' genie. It was planned from the beginning that Robin Williams would be the genie. In fact, early concept reels pretty much just had the genie character lip sync to some of Robin Williams' stand-up routine. That's how much they planned for Robin Williams to be in it. But here's the thing, Robin Williams agreed to be in it under the condition that the movie wouldn't sell under the merits of the genie alone. They tried to, he insisted that they put the genie in a small portion of the advertising and let the film sell on its own merits. To which they agreed. But here's the thing, Robin Williams at the time was also contracted to working on another film. He was playing Batty from Ferngully, the thing with the rainforest and the fairies and the stuff. But Disney didn't like that, so they tried to sabotage his work at Ferngully any chance they could by booking the studio that they were using. But Robin Williams and Ferngully did not give up. Robin Williams told Disney straight up, I'm going to do this for you, but I'm also going to do this, and you can't stop me. To which Disney took as a middle finger, to which they pretty much started, and they started cutting their deal. They started putting the genie in all the ads because the genie was probably the only reason you'd watch the movie in the first damn place. So it was for this reason that after.
Speaking of the, I gotta talk about the genie first. Speaking of the genie was also the subject of something that would influence hundreds of animated films down the road. Pop culture references.
Meta humor, pop culture references. It's in the right hands, it makes your film seem witty and keeps everybody entertained. But keep overusing it, and you suddenly have a universe that's so unbelievable that nobody believes it and nobody cares.
Yeah, and that's the problem. This is what happened to a lot of films down the line. They follow that exact same protocol.
I'm gonna mute myself and ask my mother what she thinks about Aladdin.
Sure, it had two. It even had a TV show at one point, but which you can never find because for some reason Disney Plus wants to forget it exists. Okay, next film. Sorry,
hang on, I'm not done with the genie yet. After the movie was released and the advertising was everywhere, Robin Williams was pissed off and never wanted to work with Disney again. So when the direct-to-video sequel came out, the genie was voiced by Dan Castellaneta, or as we know him, Homer Simpson.
Yes, exactly.
And then, he was not funny, not in the slightest. Anyway, then sometime between the second and third movie, the douchebag CEO of Disney at the time stepped down, and then we got a not douchebag Disney CEO who formally and wholeheartedly apologized to Robin Williams for the way they mistreated him. And apparently that was all he needed, because he came back to voice the genie in the third movie and even a couple of TV specials and advertisements until he died.
I interviewed my mother. Guys, I interviewed my mother. She said her favorite scene from that movie had to be when they freed Jafar from that third wish, and I meant the genie. I'm sorry, I got my words mixed up because I haven't seen the movie in like 17 years. But
Okay.
yeah, when
So-
Aladdin lets the genie free, and her favorite character is the genie. So yeah,
I think we've had our fill of Robin Williams. Now let's let him rest in peace.
legendary guy.
Right.
Rest in peace, brother.
Okay, now we gotta go to the gigantic cash cow. The thing that people call the beginning of Disney Renaissance and into the New Age. The Lion King.
No, that
It's the
one, I have
circle of
much to say about
life.
that movie. That is my favorite one. I have much to say about that one.
Now, this is a gigantic franchise that was so big, it literally revolutionized Disney forever.
I refused to watch any of the remakes of that movie. Lion King.
Like, have you watched Lion King 1.5 though?
Nope. Just the classic original. That's all it is. You just need the
Like,
classic.
1.5 isn't even a sequel. 1.5 isn't even a sequel. Basically, it's more of the first movie, except it's from the perspective of Timon and Pumbaa. Because
Yeah.
Timon and Pumbaa had a TV series at the time, it made sense.
Yes, exactly. Now let's talk. We might as well talk about the off ends of the Lion King because
We might as well talk about the
Lion
real
King.
Lion.
It's a simple story. It's you have a heir to a throne, and then you have
And then your father died. And then your father
love
and then take
interest.
over this country.
and then you got the elephant graveyard, and then you got that bird Zazu, and then you got Scar, and those hyenas.
Is it just me, or does Scar just keep perpetuating the trope carried on by Jafar and other villains? Like, they look a little bit gay. Like you can see, like, the eyeshadow, the way they walk. They like Jafar and Scar. I'm sorry, they look gay.
Yeah, I gotta
Yes,
say
and-
yes. I gotta say kind of yes, but you gotta see what's his Mufasa?
Well, you know what? You know what they say about appearances.
Mufasa.
You know what they say about
Mufasa's the alpha male of the whole movie.
yeah.
Even
and-
past Simba, like he's
Like,
more
I'm
manly than
bisexual.
Simba.
My gaydar is going through the roof whenever I look at them.
That's my man.
Yeah, that's the thing about those films. Whenever you have to think about something, you just have to say Hakuna Matata.
To me, no worries.
For the rest of your days. Okay, so yeah, we might as well talk about some of the accolades of the Lion King. It was huge, so huge, and it like words can't describe how huge it was. It almost got a billion.
That movie was revolutionary.
Yes,
Like,
exactly.
it was a hit.
And
I
I'm
gotta
going.
say, was it the number one movie of '94? I don't know.
Yeah, and it inspired 2 television series. Like there was the sequel that wasn't as good as the first one, Simba's Pride, and also there was Lion King 1.5, which I personally liked as a kid. And I'm fast forwarded to the part where we come in.
I could give a shit about those two sidekicks.
And then there was that was made on the 10th anniversary. And that was at a time where 2D animation was beginning to get dropped.
Which makes me sad.
Yeah. So that was something. And then there was Then there
gotta
was
say, I prefer 2D animation over CGI any day.
the Timon and Pumbaa show, which was interesting to say the least. At least it just proves that Disney can add character to every character they create, and just make a show out of it.
I gotta
Now-
say though, for that Lion King, how the hell did they tame those animals to actually be an entire film? How is that possible? I
Disney
mean, I
magic.
see that as impressive, though. Is it
Disney magic.
computer animation that's really advanced, or is it tamed animals? I don't know.
Mhm. Also, I have to say one thing. It's very confident. The Lion King remake fucking sucks. It made me want to throw up.
Well, I never saw it, and I don't plan on seeing it. But I just wonder
Well,
how they made the movie.
Well, okay, so should we move on?
No,
Mm,
we the Lion King.
okay, Nick. What do you have to say left?
I gotta say, the movie is a very symbolic. It's just so symbolic. That's all I have to say. It's just.
Okay then.
It's a guy who has the heir to the crown who prematurely lost his father.
Now,
That's all I have to say.
does anyone else? Does anything else have? So much echo. Okay. Does
man.
anyone else have anything to say about the Lion King?
Like, I'll say the remake, while it does a good job telling the story, it doesn't really capture the essence of the original. And the only reason I'm talking about it is because it's not live action. The still shots of the jungle are live action, but everything else is CG.
Yeah, it's horrible CG. Okay, so
I mean, it's not horrible, but it's not great either.
okay, so next things on our list is Pocahontas. Pocahontas.
I've never seen that one.
Yeah, the only definition I have of Pocahontas is, who are you?
Now, Pocahontas is a movie I've never seen.
I'm like, who the
Not
hell
even
are
my sister.
Is she the Land O'Lakes spotter?
Yeah, honestly, Pocahontas I think is like the most forgettable Disney movie out there in terms of if you're talking about like princess related or girl related. Pocahontas is like the most forgettable.
I mean, like my mom.
Like, the only thing I vaguely remember is the "Can you paint with all the colors on the wind" part.
Maybe she remembers seeing it in the future, but I've never seen it.
God, and the thing about so well, Mel Gibson was in it, but that's about it. Like, we don't really have enough enough information, or just like, here's the thing about some of these films: if we don't have much memory about it, it doesn't make enough good for talking.
The only thing I can say about Pocahontas is that it is not true to the it's actually not true to the original tale because the book isn't even true to the original tale. Like there was an actual fucking like it turns out the fluffed up account that Disney made was actually based on John Smith's recollection, which wasn't really accurate. It turns out Pocahontas didn't have a thing for him, and she was 12, but he kidnapped her and married her and paraded her around as the symbol of peace between two factions. And to make himself look all goody and shit.
So I'm guessing. Yeah, I'm guessing that. Yeah, so basically, Pocahontas, the whole movie is a lie. What boils down to.
The movie is a lie because the book is a lie.
Yes.
It's actually,
I don't see anything
that it
actually-
actually is not as true as like the Don Bluth Anastasia film.
Okay, so
Right.
that's pretty
I
much
don't think Pocahontas.
That could be a different
Pocahontas,
subject. We're talking about Disney today.
okay. That's pretty much bland.
I don't.
So that's pretty
I
much
don't even
Pocahontas.
I don't even
Bland and
fucking know.
forgettable.
All I gotta say is the art style is gorgeous, but that's
Bland,
basically it.
forgettable, and false.
Hey,
Yeah.
the art style is beautiful.
Now we gotta talk about the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh.
I
Quasimodo.
cannot relate.
Sorry, it's just I just love this film's orchestra score.
Okay, Digi, let's see. Can you tell us anything about the Hunchback of Notre Dame?
I
Here we go.
actually like. I do know that there is like some differences. Like for example, Claude Frollo, instead of an archdeacon, he's actually like a judge or something.
Yeah, and also one thing I know about this movie is that it involves religion, quote unquote, like actual stuff from religion.
It's honestly the first Disney movie I've heard the word hell in.
Yeah, Hellfire. That's a song.
And have her taste the fires of hell. You know, for kids.
Oh God! Don't bring Doug into my final speech. Okay, so this is gonna.
If you don't like it, you can leave all together, you know.
It's fine. It's just a. Sorry, I'm just a little tense, and I didn't. But the change.
Like, how do you think I feel? I got a schedule conflict tomorrow.
That report.
I don't know what the
Dan's
fuck tomorrow.
Okay, so it's just Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Wasn't a dragon display, right?
I do know one thing. Apparently, I think Mr. Enter liked this movie. That's why he was so critical on the sequel.
I mean, it's faithful and it makes sense. Like Quasimodo may have been deaf near the middle, but he still knows treachery when he sees it.
Okay, so that's the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Like, we're not really the best on some of the older stuff, but once we get to newer stuff, we're gonna start to
Nah,
pick
I'm
up.
good. I'm good. I gotta say, I'm better on the older stuff, to be honest with you, because that's what I was raised on. I mean,
Yeah.
really though, like, did I really watch that 2006 stuff? No, I was like way too old.
Yeah, you never
I'm
too
only
old to
good with
learn.
watching the old stuff that my mom showed me.
So, okay, so
If you live your life in your dreams and you have no future.
okay,
I'm not
so,
a big Disney guy. I was just fed Disney by like relatives and friends,
okay,
mostly relatives.
next up, we gotta talk about Hercules.
Now that is that movie was. I actually liked that movie, but I was in first grade, and my first grade teacher, who I shall not name, but because it's public,
What can you
He
say
showed me
about
Hercules.
Hercules? The only thing I remember about Hercules is that Danny DeVito was in it.
Yeah, he's basically just playing the mentor of Hercules.
Yeah, I remember watching that movie in first grade and second grade.
Oh, Nick, well,
Yeah, I still had mashed potatoes for brains back then, so I really don't remember.
you were a shy kid, Nick.
I was a shy. I wasn't a shy kid. I just was like, actually, you know what? I kind of was shy back then, wasn't I?
Yeah, you were.
I've come a long way.
So, does anyone else have something to talk about on Hercules?
What do you mean, Hercules?
It's Let me check out how much it grossed. Like, okay, so
Yet again, 6 years old, watching one of those movies. So yeah,
okay, 85 million was based on, and it got 252 million. Like, so that's let's.
when it comes to Disney, I really only watch the '90s movies, and I'm not even a '90s kid.
Oh, look at that! James Wood plays Hades. No wonder he was such hellish in Family Guy. Yeah.
Okay, who's next?
Okay, next.
okay. Mulan. I never seen Mulan.
And now we're gonna have to talk about
One is the
Mulan.
movie that my family recommends.
So Mulan now, okay?
My mom loves Mulan. My
Now,
sister likes Mulan,
The only
but I have
thing
never had any
I
memory
know
watching
of Mulan.
5 minutes.
The only thing I know of Mulan is the song "Make a Man Out of You" for when Mulan disguised as a man goes to manly training or whatever. I remember the song was covered and parodied and picked apart so many times. I actually used a particular parody as the basis for a part of one of my videos. This song called "Make a Mon Out of You," which is a Pokemon-based parody.
Guys,
I forgot who did it though.
You go on page 10, I go. Alright, does Mulan have a lot of combat in it? Because I worked with a girl at Friendly's who loved the movie, and she was like, if you like any kind of Disney movie that has a lot of combat, Mulan is your choice. And I was like, I only spent 5 minutes watching that movie, and then I ran away and probably played Game Boy.
Yeah. So do you want to?
Literally.
Here's an interesting piece of trivia. So if you're one of the dumbasses who think that think Donkey was Eddie Murphy's first animated thing, no, that claim goes to Mushu, the fucking dragon voiced by Eddie Murphy. So I'm guessing I'm guessing Donkey dating that dragon and Shrek had some significance. Wink, wink.
If there's one thing I remember Mushu from the game compilation I was playing.
I thought Mulan was invented in like 1993.
No, Nick. The thing about
Did you say invented?
Mulan? God, these 90s. I get so mixed up with 90s movies because I wasn't even born yet.
Now, Mulan is, in sensing, is that, like, it's got a sense of the, what's the word? A sense of the, yeah, it was different in Disney movies because it wasn't about a princess that was just helpless. It was about a princess that wanted to defend her land.
Exactly. It was like more like Avatar: The Last Airbender than anything in the Disney franchise.
Except for Mushu, who was just he was Shrek. He was Donkey before Donkey.
What do you mean, Donkey? Shrek?
He was Mushu. The dragon was voiced by Eddie Murphy, which just shows that Eddie Murphy has a thing for dragons.
I don't even get it. I have to. I might watch.
Okay, Nick. Since Nick can't get a subtle joke, I'm gonna have
I
to
don't
move on.
get it. I don't get it.
Okay, now next on our list is Tarzan. Oh boy.
Oh, Tarzan. I thought it said Tekken. Sorry.
Tarzan was funny.
Oh, Tarzan. On the turn of the century.
Oh yeah.
Oh god.
This is anything. Okay, when it comes to Disney, you guys, I mostly was raised on the stuff that was before I was born, but some of the stuff after I was born, like a very minimal of the stuff after I was born, I watched. But that's basically it. I never watched anything from like the late 2000s, 2010s. You know, I was like in fourth grade at that point, so I was watching like I don't know Adult Swim, sneaking that stuff on my mother.
Okay, so trip to video see. Like, see, yeah, that they also got a television series and 2 direct-to-DVD sequels as well. Now, Tarzan is just a simple story about a man in cloth who communicates with animals.
Basically,
I remember Tarzan.
basically, kid flies on plane crashes, kid gets raised by monkeys, man grows up and becomes monkey man finds woman,
British
and
woman.
I don't know, stuff happens.
Yeah, British woman and stuff happens. Oh, God, that's gonna... Okay, so... So that's Tarzan, and let's just say that Tarzan is Tarzan. And let's monkey around and get back to our thing, because there is really much else that we can think of, but okay. Now the next we've got Fantasia 2000.
What is that? Is it something to do with the other Fantasia?
Yeah. Let me see what this is. Like, I want to zoom in. No.
Let's see, Fantasia 2000, an American anthology animated musical fantasy film. Okay. It's the sequel to Fantasia, and it has animated segments set to classical music. Did we talk about Fantasia in a previous episode?
Yeah, honestly, Fantasia, it's just an oddball. If I wanna be honest about it, it just feels like an oddball. But
Like, I hardly call it a movie as much as an animated presentation.
yeah, exactly. Next. Okay. Oh boy. Here comes an interesting one. Dinosaur.
Oh. This is not to be confused with Land Before Time. That's Don Bluth.
Now, Dinosaur is literally... Okay. An iguanodon with a family of lemurs on a tropical island. A devastating meteor shower, unfortunately. I remember my family renting this movie, and I was scared of it. For some reason. Like, here's the thing. This was Disney's first attempt at a quote-unquote CGI film without Pixar.
Ew.
And it failed. Oh, God.
Despite the movie being rendered with Silicon Graphics computers.
Yeah, Silicon Valley computer. Like, the thing... It was the most expensive computer animated film at the time to make. It goes becoming the 5th highest grossing film of 2000. It was 4th best. The thing about Dinosaur is you barely remember it. All you remember is the animation. Oh, the animation. Ugh. Yeah, like serious animation, like acquire the visual.
Can we go back to the animation, please?
No, unfortunately, this is the beginning of the end of 2D animation. But before we do that, let's talk about it.
Then why is the next movie 2D?
Let's talk about let's talk about a good movie, The Emperor's New Groove. Oh,
boom, baby!
Yeah, Nick, you know anything about The Emperor's New Groove? Also, yeah,
Is he still here?
Dave.
Oh, he left.
Probably his internet, but yeah. Okay, the end. What can you say
Anyway,
about the
Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah.
So Emperor's New Groove. It's about a guy who is self-centered. He's the emperor,
Yeah.
and Yzma used to be one of the guys that worked for him until she became a bitch and did a bitch thing that got her bitch ass fired.
Yeah,
and then the bitch tried to kill him. That bitch, but the bitch bitched out because the assistant gave him the wrong bitching potion.
the thing about this movie is that, yeah, like apparently it's voiced by David Spade, and then there was the fact where then you have also don't forget that Yzma is also followed around by a muscle-bound moron named Crunk. And like, oh, that effer Crunk. Blood leather! And then there was, and the fact that
Kronk, not Crunk.
Damn it, I'm sorry. God, it sounds so similar. Ugh.
If I remember correctly, I think Yzma was voiced by Eartha Kitt and Kronk was voiced by Patrick Warburton.
Yes, because Patrick Warburton has such a wide range of voices. No, he's got the one voice that makes him so famous.
Peter, I'm the bad guy. Peter, now I'm the good guy. Peter.
You're getting slacks.
Sorry, guys. I knocked the dude to my head.
Okay, so that's
Peter.
Now, in First New Groove, sadly, it didn't do as well as its predecessors. It had a budget of $100 million. It only made $169 million, which I know that seems like a lot, but compared to the rest of it, but
the one thing I remember the most about New Groove is that it got a prequel series. Basically, he goes to school and he has to like study up so that he can become the emperor someday.
yeah,
even though he already was the emperor.
And even then, that was in 2006. 6 years after the original film even came out. But this was also probably due to the fact of Kronk's New Groove, which was basically the spin-off in 2005 that was also direct. You're noticing
voice Cusco. It's pretty much an avatar for how much they believe the movie sucks. Because instead of Cusco saying it's all about me,
Wait,
he's
what
saying
are we on?
it's his movie, not mine, his movie.
Another thing
Avatar?
is like, no,
You mean the blue avatar or the good avatar?
Another thing is that like,
I know the blue avatar was a big hit in 2008.
yes, so that's probably the reason why it was revived as a series in 2006 of all time, when animated series on Disney were starting to take a nosedive. But that's not this episode. That's going to be an episode without me. Okay, yeah, okay. So, The Emperor's New Groove, good movie, just had poor reception when it came out. Now let's talk about Atlantis, the Lost Empire. Oh, come on. Do we have to talk about it? Wait, is this another CGI film?
Joke's on you. I know nothing of it. You're on your own for that one.
When it comes to CGI, you're losing.
Okay, so apparently this was another film that was somewhat, but I'm not gonna bother because fuck Atlantis, because if anything's taught me about Atlantis is that it always makes crappy things. Atlantis Square Panis, the Titanic movies, Tentacolino, Titanic The Legend Goes On. Like that's what Atlantis does.
Our next thing that I can relate to is possibly Chicken Little.
That's coming up, Nicole. The next film we got is a home favorite.
We're way ahead of the list.
Yeah, here's a called. It's
Lilo and
called
Stitch, I don't care about.
Lilo and Stitch. Now,
No interest.
Experiment 625. Oh God,
6.
No interest.
Stitch is 626. 625 is the dude that hangs out with Gantu. Nice
Oh.
try.
626. God damn it! That's how fuzzy my memory is. Like, I think I just remember 625 because he was just that douchebag who laid around and ate sandwiches all the time. Oh.
His name is Ruben.
Never cared.
Unfortunately, he didn't have the name. I know his name was Ruben, but he didn't have the name Ruben in the series. They just called him 625 over and over again.
Yeah, they named him Ruben in like a later thing. I can't remember if it was like Lilo and Stitch 2 or Leroy and Stitch when they named him Ruben.
I hate to say it, but I
Yeah.
don't have any interest going forward, except for
No.
Chicken Little.
Okay, we'll call you up when we talk to Chicken Little. Okay, Lilo and Stitch is sort of the next oddball of the Disneyverse because it was way different. Lilo was just a girl trying to fit in on Hawaii.
Just let me know when Chicken Little comes up.
Okay.
Okay.
Ugh.
Stitch is an alien.
Yeah, and then you have
More specifically,
yeah, he's an experiment run by Java.
yeah, there were 625 before him, but he was the latest one, and he was created like the others by a dude named what was it? Ugle? No, Jumba.
Jumba. Yeah, four-eyed alien.
Yeah, and he was like sent down with Pleakley to retrieve Stitch from a planet known as YRC. They originally planned to blow up YRC, but it turns out that YRC, also known as Earth, was home to the mosquito population, which were endangered on their home planet.
Oh. Wow. I also remember now. As for the movie, for me, I remember very vaguely. But the problem is, I didn't remember from the movie. I remembered it from the television series. And I remember watching that like crazy.
The series picked up from the movie. Basically, the movie pretty much established the movie, or at least one of them, established the premise of the show that a new experiment would be activated out of butt fucking nowhere that does a random thing, and then Lilo and Stitch have to find them, train them to be good instead of evil, and then find their rightful place in the world. Or sometimes they don't do that. They just get captured by Gantu, and it does bad things to Gantu because fuck Gantu.
Yeah, because Gantu is just a big fat whale. Oh, Blitzschnack.
Do I need to talk about Bubbles?
Well, yeah, the hamster. Wasn't it that?
No, that's Hamster Veal. Bubbles is the secret agent dude.
No. Yeah, it's just
The social worker.
Oh yes. I don't know.
See, this is a film that does something unique. Rather than just have the mother die off screen, this film basically had both the parents die off screen, and Lilo was raised by her older sister.
Oh, that explains a lot. I must have missed that when I was a kid. I don't. So basically, the sister has to keep with the social worker, and basically this would be replicated in a series about two boys doing things over the summer later on. But Yeah, so the series ran from 2003 to 2006, and actually I was wondering what happened after 2006 because it just stopped showing up. So
There was actually, I can't remember if there was like a movie in between and a movie after, or if there were two movies after. There was one called Stitch Has a Glitch, where Stitch tries to fight against his glitchy urges that keep making him go evil again. But there was one I remember I do remember there was one that took place after. That was Leroy and Stitch. Basically, 627 failed in the series, and after being given their freedom, they get captured again, and they make 628, which is Leroy, and his mission is to kill Stitch.
oh wow, like original TV special. Like seriously, there were so many specials, so many movies. Like Stitch the movie, Lilo and Stitch 2, Stitch Has a Glitch.
Don't even get me started on the. Don't even get me started on Stitch the anime.
Yeah, here's the thing. Yeah, because Lilo and Stitch was just that big, and to go down that rabbit hole is like a recipe for another episode, which it's probably gonna be. You're gonna be talking about it later on without me. Okay, so next
Who
up.
knows?
Next up on our list is what was the word?
Treasure Planet.
Treasure Planet. Now what? Treasure Planet. What is Treasure?
I never saw it.
I never saw it either. Let's just say it exists and move
Can we
on.
move?
Yeah, we acknowledge it. We did our
Next,
Brother
yeah,
Bear.
next is Brother Bear. Now, yeah, the lead into the story I remember from the video game. Basically, like this guy got a bear totem and had to do his task to be a man or whatever, and he let's see something spirit something. He killed a bear. The bear was his totem, so the spirits got involved, turned him into a bear, and he has to travel someplace and learn something of his shit. And he meets another bear who's a kid. My name's not Kid, it's Coda. Coda! And you can pick up from there.
Yes, for sure. So this was the final film in the MGM studios in Florida to be made. And also, it's the second to final animated 2D film that was released. Now, the thing about Brother Bear is that you want to remember it because it sounded like a piece of your childhood, but you just can't. You can't think about what happened in the
All I
film.
remember was the video game being hella frustrating.
And there was a van. Oh, okay. So that's Brother Bear. Now here is something that is next up on our list is the actual final 2D animated film that Disney made that wasn't something obscure. Home on the Range. Now, Home on the Range is like
Or she would say, I'm on the range where the frogs and the Wolverine dance, and the cowboys say no to the odor and so.
now Home on the Range is what you call the black sheep of the Disney film, or should we say the black steer?
I never heard of it.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Let me put it in this way. It was, let's say it was Barnyard before Barnyard. And it, unfortunately, yeah, set in the Old West, a bunch of dairy cows are in, the dairy cows have to capture a criminal to save them from going to the slaughterhouse. So that's what. So basically, dairy cows become become reckless so they can save their asses from being fried into hamburgers, so they catch a criminal, so they can do that. So
Okay.
now the thing about Home on the Range is, sadly, thing is that I remember some of it. I remember that the animation was okay. The problem was that a lot of studios were. This came out in April of 2004, when 2D animation was just about to end in the big screens, because Pixar and DreamWorks have already hopped on the train of making. If Shrek 2 would come out 2 months after, to put it in comparison. So this was already near sort of a death sentence in that part. But like Home on the Range. The thing about Home on the Range is that it did kind of poorly. Like, yeah, the budget was 110 million, and it only got 145 million. Yeah,
Barely a
so,
success.
yeah, barely. It's the only reason it's a success at all is because it was considered Disney. But the problem with it was. Let me explain this. Because it came out in 2004, it came out after Shrek, and Shrek inspired so much. A piece of this was sort of like Shrek. Now, Home on the Range was a good film, but the problem is, I mentioned that part of it was inspired by Shrek's popularity, but the next film was just Disney's attempt to try and create Shrek. Oh boy! Okay, Nick, you can come out. Get Nick in here. Okay, I'll get. Just hang him. I'll get him.
Hold on, let me get back in the room.
Yeah.
Blah.
No, we're
Time
gonna.
for fucking fuck.
Come on, Nick. Okay, next up we have Disney's first quote-unquote CGI full film, Chicken Little. Oh,
Starring
Chicken Little.
Buck fucking Cluck.
Oh, it's just an acorn. I can't tell you how embarrassed I am, folks. Oh.
Basically, he cares nothing about his child's well-being or his like fucking shit. All he cares about is like his reputation. So naturally, he only acknowledges his son and how proud he is when Chicken Little saves everybody in the end.
Yes, because and if you want to know more, if you want a really hit home review of Chicken Little, just go watch Mr. Enter.
Yeah, it's like we have, but like I mean, it technically ticks all the boxes. You got your Chicken Little, you got the sky is falling, you got nobody believing him, you got the ugly duckling, and then we had aliens and parental abuse
and a fat pig. A two-fat pig. And we got a fish with a water helmet. Oh, and frozen pea. And you got what another one? We're next. And then you got then you got a Furby with 3 eyes. You got a Furby with 3 a Furby with 3 eyes following the main character around. And you got pop culture everywhere.
I have no words.
Oh, Nick, where are you?
We saved Chicken Little for you, Chicken Boy. Get your peckery ass in here before we move on. Alright. Come on, Nick. Come in here and say your piece before I chop off your pecker, and I don't mean your mouth.
No. Talk off is... Yeah. So, just some fun things about Chicken Little. It's like Chicken Little was Disney's second of the fable after a propaganda cartoon he learned. The film is also at least the last Disney animated film produced under the Walt Disney Feature Animation before the studio was named Walt Disney Animation Studio. It grossed for $314 million worldwide. It was the second highest grossing animated film of 25 behind Madagascar, which is absurd if you think about it. Like, you know what Chicken Little is?
There is one that go ahead.
Thing about Chicken Little is that like it tried too hard to be like Shrek in the way of pop culture and stuff.
Like best I could say, there is one part of Chicken Little that kind of drew inspiration from Pee Wee Herman, and whether it's actual drew inspiration or stole is completely up to you. Basically, there's a part where at the end of the adventure, they get approached by a guy who wants to make a movie out of it. And then you watch the movie, it's all exaggerated to hell, and you got these sexy looking movie stars and some details that ain't quite right. Like Pee-wee's Big Adventure did it and Chicken Little did it, basically.
Another thing about Chicken Little that's sort of off is that the universe they created with Chicken Little is all over the place. Like, you have to, if you just look at people in the background, you have fishes in cars, you have giraffes in cars. It's like if Zootopia was like dysfunctional. Like, if like they
No. Forget Zootopia. It's like Sing, except without the singing.
Yeah, but the thing about at least Sting tried to make a good story and had the attempt of getting good singing for the good voice actors who could actually, sing. This doesn't have any singing.
Which explains that German pig. Player's gonna play. And the hater's gonna hate.
Yeah, like at least they attempted to get good actors for that. They didn't really get many good actors for this. Like, seriously, I don't remember anyone in this Chicken Little. The only one I'm looking at the credits. The only one I see that's I can even think is Amy Stradeus or Citarus or like I don't recognize any of these guys. Also, I also remember the beginning. Oh, not the book. We're not starting with the book. God. We're not starting with the book.
Public domain.
Yeah. Ugh. Okay.
That's one thing I don't like about Disney. Everything they do is fucking public domain. And can't come up with anything original anymore.
Okay, Nick, I'm sorry you missed your chance. I'm guessing that really was his final goodbye. And if he comes in begging for it, we're just gonna have to tell him the truth. We moved on.
Yeah, we moved on, and he should too. He needs to keep moving forward. And I think you know where we're going next.
Here's the Chicken Little just became KFC for now. So next up, we meet the Robinsons. Okay, this isn't on me. I don't know much about this film. So this is your. Do you know about it?
Yeah, it's about a kid who's a genius, but people don't recognize that genius because a guy from the future wants to fuck up his genius. But then there's another kid who's from the future and who's from the same future of the guy, and the kid from the future wants to help out the kid in the past because the kid in the past is actually his dad in the future, and he wanted to make sure everything's fine because the kid's gonna grow up and do all these amazing things, and the world's going to be a wonderful place.
Okay, so basically what happens now So the thing about Meet the Robinsons is it was praised by a lot of critics, including Mr. Enter, surprisingly. But the problem is that it didn't gross well. It didn't make its quota in terms of budget. It had 150 million on the budget, and it only made 169 million in the box office. This was a problem for the movie's success. Also, I remember Mr. Enter saying something that this felt more like a television pilot than a movie, because it had all the ingredients of
Right.
making a good show. It's just they didn't. Yeah. Yeah, it had Adam West and Tom Kenny in it.
You doing
Oh,
okay?
that's interesting. Good.
Hey, buddy, you doing okay?
Yeah, Tom Kenny. Okay,
Yeah,
so
I'm fine.
that's Meet the Robinsons. It's just
Yeah, it could have been a great thing, but instead it's a thing that just exists.
yeah. But now here is a movie that I love. You know what happened? You know what's a good thing about what goes after thunder in the Pokemon? Bolts. Oh, bolts.
I thought you were gonna say shock.
No. We're gonna talk about bolts. Now, Bolt is basically what you get if this is like John Travolta as the best dog ever. Here's the thing: when I first watched, I didn't even know that the dog was voiced by John Travolta, and then yeah.
All I knew was the girl was voiced by Miley Cyrus.
Yes, this was bad. This is also seen as like the last quote unquote plausible thing Miley Cyrus made before she went woo, 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 woo. Now,
Basically, like I wouldn't exactly call it going crazy. I call it like becoming an adult. And naturally, when you're a child, a Disney child, you're gonna be when you grow up, you're gonna be exposed to a lot of things that you don't understand, and Disney doesn't want you to understand because they want to milk you as that lovable Disney child for all your fucking worth. And so when you finally break free from the shackles of the House of the Mouse, you're gonna want to express yourself and explore your creativity. And then you become a naked slut swinging back and forth on a wrecking ball.
couldn't have said it better myself. Now, the thing about Bolt is that it's a road trip movie, but for some reason, I always loved seeing it. I remember seeing it in theaters, and I loved it. Also, I loved Mittens. Mittens was so passive aggressive about everything.
Like the dog to me was like a tragic tale because like he didn't know that he didn't know he was just a movie star. He thought all the superheroing he was doing in the movie was legitimate. So he lived his entire life thinking he was the superhero dog.
Yeah, so Bolt was actually a pretty good success. And honestly, personally, I think Bolt should have deserved a sequel. I mean, it actually did better than Meet the Robinsons. It actually met its quota. It had 310 million, as opposed to barely scratching by. It actually made a profit. Now, Bolt, you can rest easy knowing that it's a good movie. And also there was a hamster in it named Rhino, who is comic relief, because apparently every film has to have one of those characters.
Right.
Now, and we can just remember this Miley Cyrus in this movie rather than the one we have now. And that's Bolt.
I remember this Miley Cyrus and the Miley Cyrus from Hannah Montana. Those were the only two Mileys that I could relate to at the time. Until the current Miley shouted "Free Britney." That was pretty cool.
Yeah, so that's Bolt. Now we got a Bolt from this movie, sadly, even though I want to stay. Now, Now, this is actually the true quote-unquote, the second to last 2D animation thing ever attempted. The Princess and the Frog.
People can easily make the mistake of saying this is the first 2D animated film fully voiced by an African American cast. But it's actually the first 2D animated film voiced entirely by an African American cast to be a good movie. The actual first entirely African American voice acted movie would be Bebe's Kids, but that's a totally different company.
Oh, Bebe's Kids. I could eat my way through a wall. Time.
It's animation.
I just want to watch that angry video game critic again. A time limit? They had a time. That was the only Doug Walker role I ever kind of liked when he wasn't being himself.
Anyway, Princess and the Frog is like not only a subversion of the traditional Frog Prince tale, but also the first one to do it in that typical era and to do it in that one era where like the black peoples were making a name for themselves and this was their tale. Like you can't say this is a knockoff of Frog Prince. This is the fucking African American tale of like it starts with a prince, and thanks to a witch doctor and his friends on the other side, he became a frog.
Thing about
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing about The Princess and the Frog is it was the quote-unquote last 2D animated film that actually saw major success. Or actually been seen at all. Like, everyone at this point in the end of 2009 had jumped on the 3D animation train. It's actually kind of sad, actually.
And the girl ended up becoming the first, and I think the only, don't quote me on this, the first, at least, African-American Disney princess. And Mulan was like the first and probably only Asian Disney princess. All the others were like white, I think.
Apparently Jim Cummings was in the film.
Did she voice the frog?
I don't know. Jim Cummings voiced.
At least the movie didn't have a big lipped alligator.
Yeah, after all, it would have been a big lipped alligator moment. But the thing is, Princess and the Frog can rest easy. The problem is that it's the beginning, it's the end of something special. 2D animated movies actually being, I don't know. Yeah, being actually.
Other than remembering it as the end of the 2D era, I like to remember it as the lesson that the mother tried to put forth before she died in the movie. Basically, you want something real bad, not only gotta wish for it to come true, but you also gotta work really hard to make it happen. That's a healthy dose of realism that I come to expect from African American production things.
No, it's just, and that's pretty much The Princess and the Frog. And this is probably the time in animation, in theater history, where 2D animation kind of, I'm gonna kick myself for saying this, croaked.
Oh boy!
Now moving on from the Frog, we have to talk about Disney's 50th animated film. How it was sort of out of the water, different, and would define what Disney animation would become for the rest of the decade. We're going to talk about Tangled.
Is their adaptation. Tangled is their adaptation of Rapunzel.
Yes, Prubbles. Like, the thing about Tangled it was very different. Like, so different that you couldn't even tell if it was like, is this Pixar or is this DreamWorks? Or is this both? Like
it only all I know is that it takes the one box I remember it from being a Rapunzel adaptation, and her having really long hair and the dude climbing up it.
yeah, and the dude is a douchebag, and he has to talk with he has to team up with a horse that hates his guts, and that Rapunzel sings a
Wait,
lot.
the hero's a douche?
I thought it was he was a thief. Like, I remember, like, he wanted to steal a ton of things. The thing is, and then
But
there
he
was,
didn't actually steal anything, did he?
yeah, so this was basically Disney's gigantic leap into 3D animation. And it really showed what they could do without Pixar having to ask them to do the 3D stuff. Which is actually a different style, believe it or not. Now, it was very successful. It spiked the box office despite having double the budget of its previous movies. Which means the bar for Disney movies became ridiculously high. And the message at the end, like, I know, it's funny that, like, Eugene was dying, and Rapunzel wanted to use her hair to save him, but Eugene didn't want that. She wanted her stepmother to die, so she cut her hair. And so, but for some reason, he's still alive, but I gotta watch Tangle again so I could be prepared if I ever talk about it again in the distant future. But in actuality, this is the beginning of a new era. Now, after Tangled,
before we move on, I need to say, before we move on, I need to put a warning up. This next movie and all associated properties related to the property this movie contains is actually banned in China. So if you don't have your VPNs enabled, you might want to do that now.
Okay, so this next movie is actually the true final 2D animated movie. Winnie the Pooh 2011. Now, I actually remember when
chubby little cubby that never gets old.
Yeah, the thing about Winnie the Pooh is that here's the thing, it was only 30 million, but it raised 50 million. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a big margin of success.
Yeah, the thing, it wasn't made for like a gigantic success. So apparently, the production began in 2008. So this was back when they still kind of, yeah. Jim Cummings reprised his role as Winnie the Pooh and Cinder.
And let me check my notes. I need to make sure this is the right movie that I'm thinking of.
It's in the. I'll screen share it. This is about.
Okay.
Yeah. The Winnie the Pooh 2001. So I'm
just checking a little bit. Very important thing to do. Oh, yeah, this is the one. Okay, so the plot of this one, apart from the usual, is like they go to see Christopher Robin, but there's a note on Christopher Robin's store. Gone out busy, back soon. But they misread it as him being abducted by a mischievous and ruthless monster called the Baxen.
Yeah, the backs and it's just such an innocent mistake that you can't just stay mad at Winnie the Pooh. It's not really something to do. It was just such a heartwarming change from all of the, I don't know, 3D. It's this poster literally is like the exact is a metaphor. They're in a sea of yellow, and that sea represents that represents all the 3D movies surrounding it.
Yeah. Basically, for Winnie the Pooh, it's like it's a bit. It's not meant to be a big cinematic thing like the later Christopher Robin live action movie was. It was meant to be a little bit of stuff and fluff to make you feel good, kind of like Winnie the Pooh in general.
Yeah, like Winnie the Pooh is not a franchise that relies on gigantic big things happening. It's a franchise that's meant to make you feel good. And the movie did its job. It made you feel good. It didn't break your heart. It didn't make you feel angry. It made you feel good. And for the final 2D
It
animated
didn't go
film,
all Christmas story up in your face.
yes. And for the final 2D animated film Disney ever made, I think this is a great movie. I'd highly recommend it, even if you aren't a fan of Winnie. It's just sad that all the other 2D animated films went to poo. That's horrible. Oh God. Don't worry, I won't be here that much longer. Okay, now that we're going to Wiggy Poo. Oh, fuck. We gotta talk about Wreck-It Ralph.
The next movie,
Wreck-It Ralph.
yes, this movie was one of those movies that appealed. That this movie came out in 2012, and it was one of the first of its one of, if not the first of its kind, a movie that appeals to the hip gamer crowd. You know, gamers, gaming is a thing. It exists. It's part of reacting. I am valid. Please validate me. I'm valid. I'm a gamer. I am just as much a reactor as the rest of you. I'm fucking valid.
I didn't like it. I just did not like the
I
concept.
mean, it puts my niece to sleep, so that's good. But the tale is pretty interesting. It's like you have a bad guy. He doesn't want to be the bad guy anymore. He goes off exploring and tries to be the good guy. But then he finds a hidden conspiracy in another game and becomes the good guy solving that shit.
Yeah, it's just the fact that, like, when I wanted I know that I'm going to sound petty by talking about this, but when I wanted a video game movie, I wanted it about a video game that wasn't created by Disney. I wanted a movie maybe like on Mario or Sonic or something, or an actual Pokemon movie that they would release in theaters instead of just on straight to DVD crap.
Do you have any idea how many strings would have to be pulled to pull that off? The problem with doing something like that is, like, Disney has no interest in video games, like, in general. The only reason they're keeping Kingdom Hearts going is because they have the agreement with Square Enix.
Yeah, and that's like the most fucked up franchise I've ever heard of. Like, now Wreck-It Ralph. Let's just say it powered down, but we're gonna have to talk about its atrocious sequel soon. But we need to talk about something that changed Disney forever in more ways than you could ever count in a lifetime. We're talking about something that's chilling, something that causes blizzard, something that makes you freezing to the bone, that makes you chill at the very name of her name and the film's name.
Why can't you just chill out with the puns and just let it go, it'll rise on the break of dawn.
Talking about Chicken Little.
Nick, you're too little too late.
We passed Chicken Little a long ass time ago.
You missed.
Oh
You
my
were.
fucking God.
No, you're never gonna have another chance, Nick. Okay, so. Okay, enough being around the enough beating around the snowflake. It's time to talk about Frozen. Oh, Frozen.
Kind of funny. I see where they're going.
It was such a gigantic success. It was almost unearthly. Let me put you in a little globe. It was on the budget of 150 million, and it made 1.280 billion in profit. And it gave Indira Menzel
One thing I remember is
Olaf, yes, Josh Gad. Ugh. In
Yeah,
summer.
it's so sweet. All he wants to do is see the summer, feel the warmth of a cuddle, and just lay back and melt into a happy snowman.
In summer. Yeah. Also, it's the highest-grossing film of all time. Like, seriously, it's like the biggest thing ever. Now, the thing about Frozen is that it's so overrated. It cost many. It unearthed an ungodly fandom. Oh.
Are you referring to the Elsa Gate scandal?
Yeah, and I'm also referring to Spider-Man and Elsa. I'm also referring to Jack Frost and Elsa. Or I'm also referring to a lot of different theories.
We won't go too deep into this because we don't want to get flagged, but to make a long story short, YouTube Kids just started becoming a thing at the time, and people started abusing the kid-centric focus of the platform to post ungodly random shit with Spider-Man and Elsa and Peppa Pig and all these other various characters. Thankfully, they're all gone now, I hope. But I do recommend that if you leave your child in front of YouTube Kids, please do not leave them alone. Keep your eyes on them at all times because you never know what the fuck they're gonna see.
This is why I worry about my 3-year-old nephew's future. But back to the story. It's a simple story. But this is a different type of story. It's not about a couple. It's about sisterhood. I would know. I have a sister. Yeah. My sister's nice.
It all started when they were little kids. One of them had like frozen powers, and with those frozen powers, she could do wonderful things. But then one day, she misfired her frozen powers and pretty much knocked her sister out cold. Pun intended.
You got
so the rock trolls healed her, but they also erased her memories, I guess. So now she has to hide her snow powers, and and she's been like separated from her little sister ever since. And then one day the parents died, and it was Elsa's turn to run the kingdom, and the other girl wanted to marry this guy, and Elsa didn't think it was a good idea.
Yeah. And Anna,
she's like, you don't like my independence, I should just leave. Elsa's like, maybe you fucking should.
Yeah, now I'll take over from here. So Anna and Hans wanted to convince Elsa, and then Elsa suddenly blows the lid and reveals her frozen powers. And then she runs off, inadvertently freezing the entire kingdom. And so Anna, being the skippy young Christian belle that she is, she goes on her horse and goes to rescue her sister. Meanwhile, Hans is left at the kingdom doing his evil shit. Now, Then she meets Kristoff, the ice salesman, and woohoo, brings up a blowout.
He's friends with the rock trolls.
Yeah, and then you got the Sven, the reindeer. He doesn't talk, but that's okay. But then you get Olaf, and before all that, you get the song.
The Happy Snowman.
Yeah, and then you get the song. Snow glows white on the mountain tonight. Got a kingdom to be seen.
Like, blah blah
A
blah. They're
kingdom
talking
of
about me
light.
anyway. Fast forward, moving on.
Okay, so next up, so after that, they get all off the reach Zelda, and they're like, then Zelda's like, get the fuck away from me, and get the snowman, and then
Did you say
they
Zelda?
no Elsa, get the fuck away. Zelda's like, get the fuck off my property, bitch. And
So
then
basically, she's trying to calm things between the two warring factions. She gets zapped and has to be saved by True Love's kiss. Goes back to this guy that she met in the earlier kingdom, but it turns out the guy is just gonna let her die because
Yeah,
he wants to rule everything.
yes, he wants to rule. He turned out to be a twist villain, which unfortunately is something that plagues a lot of films these days. And another thing is just like,
Yeah,
and unfortunately for a lot
I
of
mean,
people,
you don't do love is an open door and then suddenly become the bad guy. That's not how it works.
yeah, Hans is like the worst twist villain ever created. Honestly, it's just, but yeah, not to say twist villains can't work. It's just the fact that you got to put a lot of thought to it. Give it valid reasons why they'd like to trigger them. This reminds me of a episode of the Powerpuff Reboot, but I'm not going to talk about that. It's probably not that much related. So basically, Frozen was so big. Honestly, Frozen was so big. I was stunned. Like, why didn't they have a cartoon like all the other big things? Like, if you had enough money, like $1 billion, you should have just made a CGI animated cartoon. That would have lasted. Like, seriously. Why don't people do that anymore? They haven't done that since Lilo and Stitch. I mean, they'd have enough money to make it 3D animated, but no, they have to make a bunch of shorts. And it also made me wonder for a while, if it's so big, why didn't they make an unnecessary sequel? That's later
We'll
down the
get back to
road,
that.
okay, so next after Frozen is Super Mario Logan's least favorite film, Big Hero 6.
It takes place in San Francisco, and it's about a dude who I guess did some sciencey things. And there's a robot that's a doctor made of balloon, and then
Yeah.
there's some other people.
Yes, and his brother gets killed, and there's another twist villain, and there's a bunch of adults teamed up with a small boy, and they look so uncomfortably older than him.
And you do the fist bump.
They do the- but la la la, yeah, and then Baymax is forced to fight, even though he's not built for fighting. But then they save some woman in a vortex, and they defeat some guy that was the twist villain, and but then this movie never got any follow-ups, except this was the movie that did get a this was the movie that did get the what's it called?
Did it become a Flash series?
Yeah, this was the movie that did get made into a series, which in my opinion, that shouldn't have been the case. If you
Wait,
gonna
Yeah,
if you were
here's
gonna,
the thing. Technically, it's a 2D series, but we're not counting it as 2D animation because Flash is a fucking cheat.
yes, here's the thing. If you're gonna make animation, I would have loved, personally in the past, I would have loved to see like Disney try to pull a Jimmy Neutron and make Frozen into an animated series with 3D animation and all. But wait, that would actually be smart business decision. Instead, they just make a bunch of shorts. So, Big Hero 6, here's the problem with Big Hero 6. It was widely successful, but you barely remember much that came from the movie. Because it's just felt forgettable. Like, just felt like another superhero movie. Which is, I'm beginning to see why. I'm beginning to see why Super Mario Logan hated this so much. And how it was a mean of torture in one video.
Big Hero 6 did not leave a big impact. But our next movie did leave a big impact. How big of an impact? An impact so big it spawned 1,000 furries.
Yes, and it did spawn so many furries. It practically monopolized furry. Having bestiality be the norm.
You cannot even look. It's like, unless you're a veteran furry, if you're a furry and you're not a veteran furry, I can tell you right now that you have at least one poster or memorabilia of Nick Wilde or Judy Hopps somewhere.
Yes, now, Zootopia. Let's go to Zootopia. You are going to Zootopia. Oh, God. I love that name.
Anyway, it's like, do I even have to say anything? It's like they start by talking about the predator-prey class system, which kind of dials back to like black-white segregation, but they do it with instead of skin tone, they do it with furries.
Yes, and honestly,
the only furry film to have done that before was Fritz the Cat, which was an X-rated film from the way back when.
Now, here's what I think. I think that Mr. Enter once put Zootopia in this words. He said in his words once that Zootopia was season 1 of Legend of Korra done right. This is, yeah, he said that once, but honestly, I love the movie. Like, the thing about Zootopia is that it tackles a lot of big issues. Like, for some reason, I just think like the theory of animals dealing with racism it felt new, but I don't know if it was new. Just like, and also how Judy had to work for her to get where she was in the society rather than just instantly getting stuff. And
we live in a society.
Yeah, and also remember the phrase, it's called a hustle. So it's your word against your word. Yeah, it's your word against... Yeah. Yeah, carrots. And I love how you can't just ignore how well passive aggressive Nick Wilde is. Like, something about that, it just feels mwah. Not in the sense that I want to kiss a fox or anything.
Oh yeah, you say that, but
yeah, honestly, in my opinion, this movie's great. Like it, but unfortunately, I have to agree that this monopolized furries and bestiality.
And when all the people came forward as furries because of this movie, Disney responded the only way they know how. What can I say except you're welcome? I guess it's just my way of being me.
Oh yes, Moana. Now Moana. Okay, Moana.
Think like the same impact that Frozen had, except in the summer and not in the winter.
And unfortunate, but the thing about Moana is that the issue with Moana is that it didn't make it. If I want to be blunt, it felt like Frozen 2. Like it didn't feel. It felt like Frozen the second because like in the way that like it just felt like Frozen over again. Except instead of bending ice, you bend water. So in a sense, instead of having Jack Frost, you have Katara. Moana is like Katara mixed with Lilo. That's a pretty good analogy.
Imagine if like it caught on for like rhythm games. I sure love to play some Guitar Hero.
Now, and honestly, one reason a lot of people only saw the movie for is because of The Rock. Not the rock monster that turned out to be the thing that they were looking for. I'm talking about the actual Rock, Dwayne Johnson.
What can I say except you're welcome?
Yeah, people didn't come. Also, this was also the first time Disney released two movies in 2016. Zootopia and this, but Zootopia did better in my opinion. This did not do as well as Zootopia. Like the problem is that Moana. There were a few issues I had with it. Like I like how in the beginning they're playing up that this pig of hers is her quote unquote sidekick, but then fuck that. The pig is gone. We're gonna keep the idiot retard chicken.
Right.
So, and then there's the little issue of, and also then there was the crab dude. Shiny. Oh god, if only that gave that crab dude more screen time. Sadly, like he was one of the best parts of the movie, which is actually saying something. God, I remember.
Right.
Now, Moana, and that's pretty much a lot of what could be said about Moana. It's just too similar to Frozen to actually feel like its own movie. And also, you got elements from Lilo and Stitch sprinkled in there, and you've got a little bit of what's another word? Other princess movies. Like seriously. You got a little bit of Lilo and Stitch, a little bit of Tangled, sprinkled an egg filled with Frozen, and you got Moana. Mwah. Beautiful. Okay, now.
Right.
So, starting off without Moana, we gotta talk about. Ralph breaks the internet.
Ralph breaks the internet. I'll admit I did not watch this one because because from the trailer it seemed like a shell of its former self. Basically, from the beginning, the guy that owns the arcade plugs a Wi-Fi router into the power strip that all the arcade games are on. And basically, curious about what the hell it is, Ralph and the chick from Sugar Rush go check it out. And they are exposed to a vein of weird shit known only as the internet. And of course, we get some shameless cameos from the Disney princesses because everyone makes Disney princess apps apparently.
And also, you know what it felt like to me? It felt like Disney's version of the Emoji Movie. That's what it felt like to me. Because we gotta be hip with the kids and do all this internet stuff so we can actually be relevant.
Yep. The bunny gets the pancakes. But there, if there's anything else you want to say now, because there's one more thing I want to bring up.
I don't have anything else to break down. I just know it was kind of a disaster.
Okay, I'm gonna say my thing then. Basically, there was one thing that that movie did that pretty much got everybody talking. They gave everybody an at the end. They gave everybody an exclusive sneak preview of Frozen 2, and I'm screen sharing it right now. Dsim, put it on me if you didn't already. Let's watch this thing. This is amazing.
Got Frozen 2. Click here.
God damn it!
Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you, never gonna make you cry, never gonna say goodbye, never gonna tell a lie and hurt you.
Okay, that's enough of that.
Here's the thing about that. Pokemon did it better with Bidoof.
Of course it did. But you know what? Here's the thing. People got talking about this, and they wanted Frozen 2. They were mad that people talked about Frozen 2. They demanded Frozen 2. And then Disney what year was it? In 2019, Disney said, fine, here it is, you little cock-munching faggots. Frozen 2.
Yeah, faggots. And it made even more than the original. Did you know that? It made...
Yep.
Yeah, let's talk about what Frozen 2 is. Oh, God. Yeah. Into the unknown. Into the unknown. Okay, don't do the floor. Okay, so Frozen 2. What can you say about Frozen 2? Well, I've seen it a few times.
I already know what I'm saying about it. That's it.
The thing about Frozen, I've seen it a few times. The problem with seeing it a few times is that, you know what's the problem with it? Unlike the first film, it's so hard to remember it after the first watch. So basically what happens
All I can say...
is... You go first.
You know how there's those films that you watch them and they feel like from the beginning and the middle that this isn't necessary, you don't need this, you could easily just not have it and the whole thing would be fine. But near the end, you see everything wrap up and it starts to warm up in your heart a little that you can kind of accept this as part of the lore and it makes sense. Yeah. Frozen 2 tried that, but it doesn't exactly help your case when one of your opening musical numbers openly acknowledges that it shouldn't exist.
Yeah, like, some things never change. Some things never change. Golden on tight to you. Like, seriously.
No,
like,
yeah.
Now, the thing about Frozen... it's just... Frozen 2 just felt very disjointed.
Let's see if I go here.
Yeah, the issue with Frozen 2...
Yeah, this one from Into the Unknown pretty much explains why the movie shouldn't exist. I've had my adventure. I don't need something new. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's pretty much her saying, we already did my movie. Why are you fucking my here again?
The thing about Frozen... Yeah, exactly! I couldn't say it better myself. So the story of Frozen 2 is, Elsa awakens some sort of evil she basically... Okay, I'm gonna put it in layman's terms. She awakens the Avatar, the last airbender, with earth and fire and air and stuff. And she has to... And water. She has to become the Avatar and take Elsa... and take Anna, Olaf, Kristoff, and Sven with her for the journey to become the next Avatar. And she has to go into the void. and she has to tame the spirits of the gale, and then Olaf sings another cool song. It's when I'm older, everything makes sense. This is fine.
Yeah,
And-
that's his way of saying I can tolerate this. This is happening, and there's something I can do about it.
And then, but there are some things you can think about. Like, we actually do get to find out a little bit more about their parents and what they were trying to do. Like the fact that they wanted to fix Elsa, and they weren't just soulless people that just left her to go out into the ocean. Like, and also, but I'm afraid to admit this, I did like the fact that, like, she said to Anna and Olaf, they're like, oh, of course you're coming with me. Then she puts them in an ice boat and said, fuck you, I'm going on my own.
That's just no. Why?
I don't know why. So, and then there was the issue of, like, so Elsa goes too deep into the void of Matahala, and she becomes frozen herself. Oh, irony! And then Olaf fucking dies.
I was frozen today.
And then Anna sings a sad song, and then she wakes up the fucking people of the night, wakes up the earth giants, and have them destroy the dam that would wipe out Arendelle. And when in a Deus Ex Machina, Elsa rides a water horse and saves Arendelle, and finds out she's the fifth Avatar. And then all of a sudden, everyone's happy again, happy ending, and now Elsa lives in Montahala, and Anna is the
And
new
something with
queen.
the environment.
Yeah,
Something
Anna,
about the environment or something.
yeah, Anna's the new queen. Kristoff is now her husband, which I must admit, all the time where Kristoff tried to propose, which is painful to watch. Like, seriously, Kristoff, you need to work on your A game.
I was honestly just waiting for fucking her to propose back, and then Kristoff to tell her to go blow herself.
Well, at least you got it. Well, I'm just hoping that they'll never make Frozen 3, The Return of the Avatar.
No, instead we have a dragon. Let's see. Yeah, our last film today is Raya the Last Dragon. This was the first film to be simultaneously released on theaters and on Disney Plus because of COVID.
Now, Raya and the Last Dragon, it just looks... Let me give my expert opinion. I haven't seen the movie, but I'm going to give my opinion on it. It feels like they wanted to make a new Milan, and they wanted to make a new Moana. They put those two ideas together. They had a bunch of the Frozen money. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, that seems good. They waved that Disney magic wand, and then somehow we got Raya the Last Dragon.
Even though it should have been called Frowanalon.
Yeah, how about Pro Moana Luan? Ugh, God.
Luan?
Ugh, God, I'm trying to fix Frozen, Moana, and Mulan. Like, give me a break. Like, and here's the thing: that dragon of hers, that doesn't seem. She will never match the supreme genius of Mushu.
Right.
Moana Land. Okay, so she will never be able to match Mushu. It's just that painfully obvious. You can't do that. You can't. Like, and honestly, this movie just yeah. And speaking of this movie just gives me bad vibes, like when I had to watch the last Donnie Corn. Oh, gosh, Donnie. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Like that's all the Disney
Yeah.
movies.
In conclusion, the Disney movies quality, like from other companies, you expect quality to go like up and down and up and down, but here it was like buzzing all over the place. Like the overall scores were bouncing all over the place. The budget was bouncing all over the place. The creativity of the writing was bouncing all over the place. The quality of animation was bouncing all over the place. 2D, 3D, fuck, tuple D, double Ds. I don't know, but ultimately, like that's the thing of Disney. It's like there's just something about them that keeps people coming back. It's like McDonald's or Taco Bell. You know that you got better options, but
Yeah, I must admit I do have some Taco Bell next to me. Okay, so next up, we don't know what's coming next, but all I know is that this is goodbye for me. TH, I hope to do a better SmackDown
or
without me.
SmackDown anyway.
Yeah, I'll see you
The
tomorrow.
next Raw will like we're still deciding what the next SmackDown will be, but there's going to be like a hiatus period after that where we sort things out amongst the channel. Dsim will explain more about it in the next Raw, but stay tuned for the next Raw because Tix is going to play Iron Bread.
Yeah, so
And
I'm gonna have a heart
also
attack.
before that, tomorrow. Yeah, also before that, before Tix has his heart attack, we're gonna celebrate his birthday tomorrow properly with the Great American Bash.
Yeah, great. So I have to turn 23 on the 24th.
Hey, I'm 24. Be lucky you have more life left than me.
That's fine. Okay, so I'm guessing this is the end for me. Like,
But
pull
now
the
that
plug.
we know what's up
Antonio, you can have your show back, and Dsim, you can have it too. So you won't need to worry about me. I'll just be confined to Raw. So I guess I'll see you around. Tell them. Okay. Bye,
Bye.
folks.